Hello, welcome to MD for Fashion 19 Things Men Should Never Wear. I know a number of you'll say, during this day and age, I can wear whatever I would like, and you're quite right. Today, you'll wear whatever you would like at an equivalent time. You'll also inhale asbestos, otherwise you can drink water from lead pipes. Simply because you'll, doesn't mean you ought to. 19 things that ought to not be in your classic wardrobe. 1. Sandals. They look particularly bad once you combine them with socks, but even on their own, they'll be something that folks who are really into outdoor stuff wear. However, if you think about yourself stylish, or if you care in the least about your outward appearance, sandals will always cause you to look less smart and immature. The same goes for flip-flops. Unless you're at the pool or at the beach, a self-respecting man should never wear flip-flops publicly. It's always easy to mention what to not wear, but what do you have to wear instead? Well, for summer, I feel a perfect shoe is alpargatas. They're actually shoes that are originally from Mallorca. Sometimes they need some rubber added there too, then it's fabric, sometimes it's woven, sometimes it's very thin. In any case, it's a summer shoe, it's airy, it serves an equivalent purpose of sandals or flip-flops. Yes, it's tons more stylish. If you would like to travel a notch up in formality, accompany perforated punch-hole leather shoes, or even linen because it absorbs the moisture from your feet and it's very summery and stylish. 2. Cargo shorts. They just cause you to appear as if a douche, and that I know some people love them because they're functional. Having items during a cargo shorts pockets cause you to look asymmetrical, and since of that, it sends a subconscious signal to others that you're just not also put together and that they can't put their finger there on, but in any case, they're going to think less highly of you. 3. Matching tie and pocket square. Oftentimes, they are available in sets, usually in ugly, shiny satin, and sometimes they even pre-fold pocket squares or pre-tie ties that you simply clip on, and if you wear this, it just looks so cheap and such as you don't know what you're doing, that you're more happy skipping it altogether. Of course, wearing a tie and a pocket square causes you to look dapper and you ought to do this. However, you ought to always tie your own tie and fold your own pocket squares. If you're unsure on the way to do this, we've an entire series on different tie knots and the way to tie them, also as how to fold pocket square the straightforward way. Please check them out. 4. Short socks. My fourth style complaint is wearing a suit with short socks. Nobody wants to ascertain your hairy calves, and albeit you shave them, it's just not appropriate, especially during a business setting or an office setting, and if you accompany a suit, or with long pants, or trousers, or dress pants, you ought to always have over-the-calf socks. 5. Unbuttoned evening shirt with a necktie. It just looks sloppy, and therefore the sole purpose of wearing a tie is to form you look more dapper and stylish. There's no functional, no practical reason why we wear a tie. Having a top button undone just seems like you don't care about how you look, and you ought to either wear the tie and wear properly, or not in the least. So you discover yourself during a situation where it's too hot, otherwise you feel uncomfortable around your neck, remove the tie, roll it up, put it during a pocket and unbutton the buttons. That appears far better. 6. Big shirt collars. I see all of them over the place, and sometimes you wear them with neckwear, which results in puckering because once you tighten your tie knot, there's an excessive amount of fabric and it just leaves unsightly waves. The golden rule of thumb that you simply read everywhere the place is that you can put 2 fingers in your collar and it should comfortably fit. The matter thereupon is, I've never found a collar where I couldn't put 2 fingers in because your neck is flexible. Due to that, you ought to wear a collar that doesn't leave any visible gaps once you stand still. Usually, if your collar is just too big, you'll find that there's a niche within the front and it should sit snugly against your neck, which will offer you a correct look, and it's just dapper. 7. Square-toed shoes. Usually, it's what you discover in lower-end shoes under $100 and that they read just plain ugly, and they show everyone around you that you simply haven't any clue about dressing well. Once I grew up in Germany, there was a corporation named Lloyd's and that they sold plenty of ugly shoes and that they were actually a touch costlier, so people considered them to be quality dress shoes, and for that reason, that style was perpetuated. Fortunately, there are many other good companies out there that provide a pleasant round toe, or if you would like something a touch more square, accompany a chisel toe that's very elegant. 8. Tennis socks. Unless you're at the gym, there's really no reason you ought to ever wear them. Wearing white tennis socks with brogues, or with long trousers, or maybe with shorts, during a public setting that's not the gym, cause you to appear as if a peasant. 9. Windsor tie knot. I know it's one among the foremost popular tie knots around because it's symmetrical and it's big. The matter is, most of the people wear it with cheap shiny ties and it causes you to appear as if a second-hand car salesman or an insurance salesman. That's just very sleazy and not pretty competent. Instead, I suggest you check out the various different tie knots that are out there, including the half Windsor, that look far better in my opinion, and are far better suited to a chic gentleman. 10. Satin silk ties, especially not for day wear. If you would like something for the evening, otherwise you need a bit of shine, I could see that, but most of these ties you get at Walmart or a less expensive outlet like Men's Wearhouse, and you name it, just appear as if it, and it'll always identify you as a person who doesn't have a clue about dressing well. Sure, you've seen those ugly striped ties in multicolors and they're with great care plain ugly, I can't even find words for it. Instead, accompany a tie that's silk, maybe wool, maybe cashmere, maybe some texture if it's also going with the jacquard weave, or a print. Search for something more matte that's timeless, which will stand the test of your time and can always cause you to look dapper. Case in point. The tie I'm wearing here immediately is vintage. I've had it for years, it's probably 50 years old, but I can still wear it because it's not shiny, it's a classic small paisley pattern, and it just always looks dapper. 11. Sports sunglasses. Yes, you recognize what I'm talking about. Those mirrored sunglasses that you simply maybe wear when you're outdoor. Sometimes they need rainbow colors, and they're just not something you ought to ever wear with a proper wardrobe publicly. Instead, accompany classic sunglasses. They've stood the test of your time, like maybe a pair of aviators, maybe Wayfarers, or even you would like to be like Steve McQueen, the king of cool. 12. Jerseys. By that, I mean sports jerseys that sometimes only wear if you attend a sporting event and you would like to support your team, otherwise, they're wholly inappropriate and just always cause you to look very immature. Instead, accompany the other white shirts you'll find, but a jersey is simply bad. 13. Slogan T-shirts. They just cause you to appear as if a 13-year-old boy who wants to precise himself but doesn't know quite how, and it's not just immature, but it makes people laugh about you, which you really wear the shirt. I've seen men actually wear T-shirts that say douchebag or haters will always hate, and while which will be the case, it's just better to not wear it, plain or in bold colors on your shirt, but to write down or ask people face to face. 14. Regular neckties for black tie events. You see it on the red carpet in Hollywood per annum round the Oscars, and it's just plain wrong. This is often a proper dress code, and it's such as you don't know what you're doing. I created a video about the way to find the proper black bow tie for your tuxedo on your situation. 15. Belt with a vest. A vest should be either worn with just side adjusters or suspenders, because a belt will create a niche between your waistband or your pants and your vest, and it just looks unsightly. You ought to also never have a tie that peeks out underneath of it, or even a shirt that pokes underneath of it when the vest is just too short and therefore the rise is just too low, because that simply shows that you simply don't know what you're doing. 16. Backpacks. I think only schoolboys should wear backpacks, otherwise, there's no place for them publicly unless you go hiking, or to an expedition where that's quite the sole practical thing to hold. Otherwise, with backpacks it's very easy to hit people without even noticing it, which isn't just rude, but just not polite and equivalent time. It causes you to appear as if a schoolboy and you rather want to seem sort of a grown man, so get a leather satchel instead, a briefcase, maybe a canvas one, or something that suits your style, and leave the backpack with schoolboys. 17. Incorrectly sized ties. The problem is, they are available underneath your jacket, and if you don't wear a jacket, they even accentuate your balls, which is simply not where you would like people to see Matt. Ideally, they appear at your face and not at your crotch. Now, I get it, all the ties are too long, and particularly if you're a shorter guy it's very hard to seek out a tie that really works for you, because otherwise, you've got this gigantic tie knot together with your tiny head and it just looks goofy. So instead, buy ties and therefore the right length for you. I feel we're one among the sole stores that provide the whole threefold classic neckwear home in short, regular, and long, so every man regardless of the peak can find a tie that works for him. 18. Large armholes during a suit jacket. Not only do they create you appear as if a footballer, but they're also uncomfortable, and that they restrict your movement. Instead, accompany smaller armholes. 19. Big wristwatches. The 19th thing you ought to never wear as a self-respecting man are big, gaudy wristwatches that just scream for attention. I do know they're really popular lately, but a smaller watch is simply more sophisticated, especially if it's slimmer, and it serves an equivalent purpose, and it's just an indicator of a chic gentleman.